and welcome back to Dealing with Cheese. I'm Kuma, and this is episode 2, where we're going to look at the Marine Tank Banshee all-in, so basically the 111 build, and how to deal with that effectively um, and stop it short. So that's basically what we're going to do. Let's see where we're going to... One moment. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. So the style at which I'm going to do this is basically most effective on slightly longer maps. So this is not as effective in, for example, um, let's give a good example. Shattered Temple close positions. Yeah, that's not close positions are a lot harder to do because they're going to be at your door sooner, and it's harder to wall off or effectively basically stop the attack short of where you want it to be. And this map is quite effective because you have the rocks here. So I basically I just did this in a ladder game a little while ago, and I figured I would use it as an example. So let's see. We'll just fast forward a tiny bit. So you start out usual, normal build, just 12 gate. No, you send your probat after your 12 gate, and you get your assimilator after, yeah, on about on 14, where you chrono boost on 13. I mean that's just my preference. Obviously you can do when you get your simulator is not as important, but I like to get it quicker. And then you scout with your 12 SCV. Sorry. Here we go. And in this case, you see gas. So without the gas, let's slow it down. Without the gas, this usually means that there's two options. The Terran is either expanding, or they're going for a Marine SCV-LN. Now, the Marine SCV-LN is very hard to stop. In my opinion, it's very hard to stop. The expand basically means that you need to also expand right away. So in this case, you see we see a refinery though. So this can mean either 2 racks pressure, 3 racks kind of all in. I find it kind of an all in because usually I will expand, and if the 3 racks doesn't win right away, then they're quite behind. Or a 1-1-1 build. That's basically what it comes down to. So most common is the 2 racks expand because it puts on a little pressure and then they can safely expand and really not have to deal with all that much. But in this case, you see the one refinery. My pro gets killed, puts down a second refinery, puts down the factory, and then starts putting after the factory he'll put down the starport and a tech lab obviously. Where's the starport? Come on. It's quite late. Usually you'll see it sooner. However, this person also doesn't harass all that much with their banshees. They're going to go for the pure 1-1 all-in. So I scout their front and see a bunker. This usually will mean that obviously there will be an expand here, but in this case they don't put an expand down. You always want to double check. And so I do this. I run past and I just lose the stalker. And the reason I do this is also because these supply depots went down. When supply depots go down this early at the front, it kind of signals to me like they don't want me to scout whatever's behind there. So that means they're not expanding. Because if there's an expand, this bunker at the front signals there's an expand. Putting these supply depots down tells me don't come in, there's an expand, within quotation marks, but there actually isn't. So I will run in and double check. Now, that can hurt if they do a 2-gate push, but they put a bunker down, so the 2-gate push doesn't really happen once they put the bunker down. It doesn't make sense. So yeah, that's that. So what I do is I put down 3 gates. Oh, maybe I should go back a little bit. This is what you scout. So right off the bat, you build your stalker. I go for 2 assimilators because I see one of theirs, one refinery. This means that I'm going to go sentry heavy. The sentries, I build sentries early on, so say 4 or 5, and that means that they have a lot of energy by the time that the 1-1-1 can come. I don't keep going sentries, but I do get them early on to kind of start out with. So I get my gate, my Nexus, and then I get my 2 extra gates without building probes. That's important. You can't. You get your Nexus on 23. You don't build probes. You just get your 2 gates. You get a sentry, in case they go something like a Marine SCV all in anyway. It does happen. In which case you can just force field the ramp and be fine. And then, because I only see Marines, and because I didn't see the expand obviously, but even if I only see Marines, still I go for the robotics facility, because then that means to me a Banshee is coming, or something of that nature. So, my expand's done, I transfer my probes, and I warp in my sentries, my round of sentries. Because I had so much gas piled up, because I had 2 assimilators, this means that I can put these down effectively, and I'm still quite low on my minerals. You'll notice my gas is going high, and this is actually on purpose. And this is because, as I see they're going to 111, I opt to go right away for Colossi. Colossi deal with the Marines, and then all that's left is tanks and Banshees. And once the Marines are gone, the tanks and the Banshees you can deal with them quite efficiently with Zealot Stalker. Yeah, with basically Zealot Stalker. So, I split my ranged units up into mineral lines. This is because obviously Banshee harass is possibility. When people go 111, they have Banshees early on, and that means they can harass your probe line effectively. Both probe lines. And obviously I get my 2 observers, 1 to go scout him, which is going to go out right now, and 1 to stay at home in case a Banshee comes in and tries to snipe stuff and has cloak. This guy is not going cloak, and he's got a very, very late starport, by the way. But anyway, it's still the 111. Or actually 211. But it's an all-in. This is effectively the same all-in. It's a slight variant, I guess. But yeah, so I put down I get my 2nd observer, and then instantly you put down the robotics facility. You need that robotics facility up early, because otherwise you will not effectively be able to stop it. And my probe gets killed. Oh well. And now obviously I become supply blocked and be an idiot. Obviously I'm not a Grandmaster player or anything. So yeah, I warp in these Zealots instead of... So realistically you don't want to warp in these Zealots, you want to warp in the oh no, I was managed able to. Oh great. Didn't even realize. So you want to start the Colossi production as soon as possible. You realistically want to have 2, maybe 3 Colossi out. And this is because the bulk of the damage realistically is done by Marines. Like, look at this army. So he's got, holy croak, he's got 21 Marines and he's got 3 tanks. Now the 3 tanks do a lot of splash damage, but the 21 Marines, if they are unchecked, will actually do more damage than the tanks will. Oh, he's got 2 over here. So he's got 23 Marines. Okay, so I've got my first Colossi out when this push comes. And in this case, you're effectively able to block off the ramp, but even if you weren't able to do that, you can still use... because these sentries have so many force fields, you can force field a bunch of units in. Colossi will deal with the Marines, and then you back off, because you do not want to take too much tank damage. You want to basically force field, do damage, and while the tanks are sieging up, and then as soon as they've sieged up, you want to back off and not take anything but shield damage, which of course I don't do because I wasn't looking. And at this point, it's effectively held off. As soon as he's over here, you have 1 Colossi, almost 2, and you have enough force fields to keep him out for a while. He can't bust up. He can't come into your base. His Marines will die instantly, and his 4 tanks will die to your... How many Zealots do I have? I've got a crap load of Zealots. So, oh yeah. Very important to you don't want to warp in. Once you've warped in your sentries and a couple of stalkers for Banshee defense, you pretty much only want to make Zealots. And this is because the Colossus will pretty much take up all your gas. Pretty much. You can sometimes warp in 1 or 2 Stalkers, which is a good thing because his Banshee count will go higher and higher. However, you want to mostly just make Zealots because Zealots are just minerals and they deal very well with tanks. Tanks do bonus damage versus armored, and obviously Zealots are not armored, and Zealots get up close to the tanks when they're sieged, and so they just work a lot better than Stalkers do against the tanks. You also want to be careful about the composition. So there's different ways of doing this. There can be things like two port Banshee, one factory, one barracks, in which case there's a lot more Banshees, in which case obviously you want more Stalkers and Sentries. And you always want to be careful of the point defense drone. But yeah, you want more ranged units because then all their gas is going to be going into basically the Stalkers. They're only going to have a couple of tanks, and a couple of Zealots will be okay with that. Also, what's it called? The Colossi will deal with that also. So the Grand Army is then dealt with. You want to then mostly put build Stalkers and Sentries to deal with the air unit. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't know if I've missed anything. No, I don't think so. So you want to stay on 2 gas, build Colossi for defense. You'll have at least 1 Colossi, possibly 2 if you chrono boost properly and you don't get supply locked like I do. Then you'll have 2 when the push comes, and then you'll just be able to deal with all the Marines very effectively, and then there's only tanks left, and the tanks, they do damage, they do a lot of damage, but your Grand Army can just deal with them. And the Banshees, because they only want 1 port Banshee, they usually only have 2 or 3 Banshees at most, and that's not too hard to deal with, really. So yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and this was Dealing with Cheese Part 2, and I will see you guys next time.